Hello and welcome to Eye on Africa. I'm Clarisse Fortuné and here's the top stories from across the continent. Kenya bids farewell to opposition icon Raila Odinga at a state funeral. But the emotional goodbye was marred by chaos and a deadly stampede as crowds rushed to see his coffin. And meanwhile, in Madagascar, Colonel Michael Randrianirina is sworn in as president after military takeover and a day after African Union suspends the country and calls grow for a return to civilian rule. Plus, time for a bit of culture. A new space has just opened in Paris, the Maison des Mondes Africains, the House of African Worlds in French. It aims to be a home for creativity and reflection for artists of African descent. Its first exhibition is by visual artist Roxane Banga, and we'll speak to her in a moment. Tensions marked the final farewell to Kenyan opposition leader Raila Odinga. Thousands gathered in Kisumu for his state funeral, honoring a man seen by many as the voice of Kenya's democracy. But chaos erupted when the mourners tried to get close to his coffin after the proceedings. At least 2 people died and dozens were injured. Clémence Valère tells the story.
Chaos at the Nyayo football stadium as mourners rushed to bid a final farewell to emblematic statesman Raila Odinga. Despite heightened security, a stampede broke out after many tried to get close to his coffin, resulting in several people having to be rushed to hospital. Thousands had gathered on Friday for the state funeral of the former prime minister, who died earlier in the week at age 80. Among the attendees, current president and political rival William Ruto, as well as former president Uhuru Kenyatta.
Every once in a generation, there comes a leader whose impact transcends their moment, whose courage inspires change. My brother, Raila Odinga, was one such leader.
Raila Odinga served as Prime Minister of Kenya from 2008 to 2013, but never succeeded in winning the presidency despite 5 attempts. He outlasted many rivals and is credited as a major player in returning Kenya to multi-party democracy in the 1990s and overseeing the widely praised Constitution of 2010.
Kenya has lost a leader without whom the history of democracy in our nation could not be written.
In a testament to his impact and influence on Kenyan politics, Odinga's body laid in state in Parliament on Friday morning ahead of the funeral, an honor only reserved for the president and former presidents. Kenyans will on Saturday have one more opportunity to say goodbye, this time in the city of Kisumu, before his burial in Bondo on Sunday.
Colonel Michael Randrianirina has been sworn in as interim president of Madagascar following a swift military takeover that ousted former President André as well. The move comes after weeks of youth-led protests over water and power shortages, during which at least 22 people were killed and over 100 injured. Randrianirina pledged to restore national unity and human rights. But the African Union has suspended Madagascar, and the UN is demanding a return to constitutional order. Shirley Sidbon has more.
Colonel Michael Randrianirina, Madagascar's new president, sworn in on Friday, was little known until a few days ago. After swapping his uniform for a suit, he took the oath of office. The man who dissolved nearly all of the country's major institutions paid a tribute to those who triggered the regime change, Gen Z protesters.
Today marks a historic turning point for our country. With the people in turmoil, driven by the desire for change and a deep love for their homeland, we joyfully open a new chapter in our national life.
On October 11th, Michael Randrianirina appeared in a video in which he called on security forces to side with anti-government protesters. The protest movement, led by the youth against regular power and water cuts, poverty, and alleged corruption, started last month. The rebellion forced President André Razoal to flee the country, marking a turning point after weeks of unrest. On October 14th, the president was impeached by the National Assembly as the military officially seized power. Michael Randrianirina was hailed as a liberator by some. The UN has condemned the military coup as unconstitutional. The power grab led the African Union to suspend Madagascar. Randrianirina has vowed to quickly appoint a new civilian prime minister and to hold elections within 2 years. In the meantime, he announced the creation of a military council composed of army and police officers to lead the country.
Now let's talk art. The Maison des Mondes Africains, literally the House of African Worlds, has just opened its doors in Paris, positioning itself as a new space for artistic expression and exchange between Africa and its diasporas. Its inaugural exhibition, Noir, is signed by French-Cameroonian artist Roxane Banga, whose work delves into the themes of Black identity, resilience, and representation. And we are delighted to have her here in our studio. Roxane, welcome. So, congratulations on the opening. So, how does it feel to be the artist chosen for this new space?
Thank you so much for having me. To be honest, it's amazing. So far, it has been like such a delightful experience. And, you know, I was born and raised in Paris, and I always had, I always felt like there was not really like a space for us, you know, as like diasporic kids to belong in an institution. So the fact that this house of Black cultures is opening now, it's amazing. And the fact that it's opening with Noir, which is also a space that I've created because I was lacking this sense of belonging and seeing my peers, it's a perfect match, I would say.
Talking about Noir, your exhibition, so tell us about what's your inspiration. What story does it tell?
For me, Noir, so what it means, it's about Black women. It's about putting us in the center with our plural identities. It's about retelling a story that was never really told, you know, before. For me, it's also a way to center the narrative, a different narrative that we not necessarily hear often. It's about putting in the center my sisters, my mother, the story of my grandmothers, in between so many different cultures, in between, for example, Cameroon, Guadeloupe.
You're from Guadeloupe as well, Cameroon, and
exactly.
in Paris. All these different origins, did it influence your work?
Always. It has always influenced my work as well as my life, because it's all of these cultures live within me. So it also makes the person that I am. So
it's multiple origins, but also you're using multiple media.
Exactly.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, for me, I'm only complete when I'm touching a lot of different things. So for me, there's not only one way of telling a story. I can tell a story with using installation, for example, as well as photography, videography, clothing as well, storytelling, sound, a lot of different things that create like a whole.
Is very specific personal or maybe historical reference that inspired you or guided you?
Yeah, I would say that it always came from what I was missing, you know, like growing up. So as I said, I was like missing a place where I could like see myself being represented, but also I never really grew up hearing like the stories of my peers. So for me, what I'm doing in my work is also like, it's really about like retelling the stories of like other women, whereas it is by using their faces in my drawings, in my murals, in the different textiles that I'm doing, using different techniques such as batik, etc., or also interviewing them to know how was it for them, I don't know, like to grow up as like a young woman in Dakar, or like how is it like to live in Lagos, etc., etc. So it's all the stories that I never really heard and that I thought was very important in order to have more compassion, I guess.
And talking about young, so how do your visitors, especially the young people from diaspora, will connect with your work?
I think that they connect very well. You know, like there's this homey feeling that you have when you come into Noir. You see things that maybe you have at your grandparents' place, or maybe you see games that you used to play when you were little, or maybe you're gonna discover some books that maybe you needed to read as a kid or as a young adult. So I think that people can reconnect in so many ways. I'm also using scent, for example. There's always churai in the space, so incense that is there, as well as certain musics that my parents also like used to listen to when I was younger. So I think it's a space that call for certain kind of memories, homies memories, and that even if you're not necessarily directly impacted by what I'm talking about, you will feel certain things.
What's next for you after this exhibition?
A lot of things. From what I can tell you already, I will present 2 different rooms of Noir at the 193 Gallery, so 193 Gallery in Paris, situated at République. I will show the dining room as well as the terrace, because Noir is a space that is ever evolving. So here at MansA, I'm presenting Le Grand Salon. And then I've presented in the past the balcony, as well as the outdoor space, the street, the bathroom, etc., etc. So yeah, the next step is 193 Gallery.
So everything here in France, or at least in Paris. What about the continent? Any project for going?
Well, I would.
Cameroon, for example.
I've been in Cameroon in 2023 au Musée National, but I would love for Noir to travel in Abidjan as well as in Guadeloupe, first of all. And
so we're
then,
sending the calls, please.
Yeah, and then elsewhere. Please invite me.
Perfect. Okay, great. And if you have to finally, if you had to describe what you want visitors to feel when they see your exhibition, what
I want them to feel a kind of peace and relief. I think it's really a space for bodies to let go of certain things, for bodies to let go of the violence that we can experiment in the outside world. So please come home and feel at peace with me. That's what I would say.
Peace and relief to end this program of Eye on Africa. Thank you very much, Roxane Banga.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. And thank you for joining us. And we hope you do so again. Stay tuned to France 24.